ABC. Welcome to the Personal Oasis. This is the Blind Island, and today we're going to be reviewing a record. And just to let you know, this is purely my personal opinion. If you guys have a different one, please let us know in the comments below. I'd love to have my opinion changed. Now, today we're going to be taking a look at a record that I believe doesn't get as much credit for introducing the common common music listener to avant-garde themes and sounds, and that would be Laurie Anderson's Big Science. So we're going to start off with a little album background information, then we're going to move into my thoughts and observations. After that, a couple of album highlights. Let's get started. So, to give a little background information, the music for this album was initially created for an 8-hour performance art piece known as United States Live. The music that was culled for this record was only a small portion of what was in an 8-hour performance. The album was created after the song "Oh Superman" became an unexpected hit in the UK. She, however, did release a few other records or a few other recordings with William S. Burroughs, the poet and author of Naked Lunch, where she played the violin while he did some spoken word recordings of his poetry. Thoughts and observations on this record. The album is cold and dark, unfeeling and removed from most human interaction. The sound is metallic, almost as though a robot created it. Most of her vocals go through a vocoder, which gives her an otherworldly sound to her voice. The title, Big Science, kind of reminds me of how lots of societies and governments are taking a look at the human soul and almost trying to deconstruct it into its alchemical parts to basically fit its own desires and its own needs. The themes that are found within the lyrics are usually about isolation, anxiety, and how society is just slowly making its way towards an inexorable entropy. However, there is a time for levity and for kind of laughing in the face of destruction. It's a dark, sardonic humor, but it's one that is definitely worth diving into. I think that some people will be taken aback by the vocal style on this album, since she is basically doing spoken word throughout the entire thing, but I believe that it was very visionary for the time. You can hear how this music was a huge impact on people like Imogen Heap, Florence and the Machine, Bjork. It's a really, really interesting album to hear that was released in 1982, when it still sounds very much of its time, but almost like it's being beamed from 20 years in the future as well. I think you have to be aware who the music is intended for. It's not meant for large radio play. Even though "Oh Superman" became an unexpected hit, the music in here is not your top 20 pop rock or country hit. It is meant to be dissected and digested. And if you don't like avant-garde music, you're going to hate this album. So and there are a couple of messy points, it doesn't always flow together perfectly, but I enjoy the big swings that she takes throughout this album. I believe that it's definitely one that is worth exploring. Now for the album highlights. I believe that From the Air is one of my favorite tracks on here. It's definitely one of the more melodic tracks found on it. Born Never Asked is one that really gets under your skin, asks a lot of hard questions. And of course, "Oh Superman," which I believe has been used in countless movies and shows. A lot of people will probably be very familiar with it, but its themes are timeless and even more timely today than any other time. Also, I love the last song, Let X Equal X. It's kind of a sweet, short song and a great way to cap off an otherwise cold and removed album. My final thoughts on this record are, while the album or record may come across as a weird avant-garde interloper to some listeners, I believe that it is definitely worth the challenging things that are found within it. I believe it is a watershed album from the 80s. It should be heralded as a landmark in avant-garde music, just as the Mothers of Invention Freak Out is for the 1960s. Overall, it has some messy points, but I applaud the messiness. I think that this is an unheralded classic and needs to be reevaluated by modern day listeners. So I'm going to give this one a 4.5 out of 5. So, what did you guys think? Do you just think that this is being weird and artsy for the sake of being weird and artsy, or do you believe that there is definitely more to grab into and sink into? Let me know in the comments below, and thank you so much for taking the time to watch today. I hope that you have a great day on your own personal oasis. Cheers.